Steal my lunch? I hope you like haram food. I recently started to work in an office. Not very happy about it, as I prefer working from home, but it's only temporary, so I'm hanging there. Since I'm trying to save money, I take my own lunch instead of eating at one of the many restaurants near the office. Soon after I started, I noticed my food going missing from the break room. After digging a bit, I discovered who the culprit was. One of my co-worker, let's call him M, decided it was okay to take my lunch without asking for almost a week. I had to put a stop to this, but since I had no hard evidence like a video of him eating my stuff, I decided to take justice in my own hands. You see, M is a Muslim and apparently very serious about it. To the point that he has to let everyone know about this at least once a day. Nothing wrong with being serious about your religion, mind you. But when everyone knows you as the Muslim guy because that's the only thing you talk about, you may want to diversify your interests. To me, however, he's known as the lunch looter. Since it's my lunch after all, and I have absolutely no dietary prohibitions, I decided to prepare myself a delicious pork sandwich. Pepperoni, ham, smoked sausage, chorizo, bacon, pork leg, cochinita, and even some chicharron for good measure. Oh, and don't forget extra jalapenos. Normally I don't like them, but I want this one to pack a punch. I call it the Squealing Supreme. Surely, any person who adheres to religious rules would be a fool to even go near my succulent sandwich, right? Well, seems like M is the type of person to grab food off the fridge without checking it first. Which led to hilarious results. At some point before my lunch hour, the office was set off by bloody screams coming from the break room. When someone ran off to check, they found poor M crying about eating pork and saying that someone put non-halal meat in the fridge. This was my cue to get HR involved. This level of drama wouldn't go unnoticed anyway, and catching M eating my sandwich was all I needed to get them on my side. Sadly, the payoff wasn't great. He was let off with a warning, and his excuse for taking my lunch is that I always brought halal food, basically just chicken and vegetables, so he took it. It's not that he thought it was for him, he just said he targeted my stuff because I was the only one bringing clean food. He was still quite pissed, and in the last few days he's been giving me the death glare. Moral of the story, don't take people's food. Who knows? Maybe they enjoy the food your religion considers sinful. Should have reminded him that stealing is haram. According to Islamic law, the chicken he's been eating was haram, for him. So he admitted to stealing in the workplace and the only reprimand was a warning? Wow, find out what the company policy on theft of office supplies is if they're that lenient. Get yourself a new computer. I would tell him that you cook everything in bacon grease. Halal food isn't just chicken and meat and no pork. Halal food, it's the way the animal is slaughtered. So basically it's still haram food. Add to that theft. Dude doesn't even know his own religion. Considering theft is haram too. Back in the late 90s, my ex worked for an old company beginning with the letter K. One day she was sitting in the break room, which was located on the ground floor, and customers always walked in and bugged employees that anyone with common sense would know they were on break or lunch. So, to combat this a little was to turn all the lights off, so it seemed it was empty. One day the store manager walked in, not seeing my ex in the dark corner, and began check lunches in the fridge. He began munching on some things here and there. My ex knew they were not his, and when he was invested in his snack time, my ex finally cleared her throat. The store manager just about wet himself, returned the lunch he was holding, and hastily left the break room. Guy was making six figures as a store manager and was eating other folks' lunches. Not sure what she did after that, maybe reported him, but I bet he would simply be warned and nothing else would happen. Really sad that of all people, he had to eat other folks' lunches. When I was pregnant with my son, I regularly had my lunch stolen, and at first I tried guilting the thief, saying they were stealing from my baby, but the thief didn't care. Then I started sabotaging food by hiding ghost peppers in sandwiches along with using lunch meat and cheese that should have been thrown away. Eventually the thief stopped. I never figured out who it was, but it took only a few times to get them to stop. He should at least reimburse you for the lunches you had to buy because yours was gone. What a self-important jerk. No more clean lunches for him. That is horrible. Knowing my big mouth, when he said you only had clean foods, I would have said out loud, well, looks like you love bacon. I cook my chicken with bacon grease. Did he ever explain why he felt entitled to take your lunch without even asking first, other than he thought it was halal? I'd be very clear with him that he is a thief and what he was doing was theft, and while the work might not be punishing him, you won't be standing for that shit anymore. Ask your work to have a camera put in the canteen to prevent this from happening again, since they continue to employ a thief, and be clear with others that's what he is and has been costing you money in these difficult times. Lunch looters and fridge raiders deserve whatever, and I do mean whatever, they get. Face with steam from nose. That's a super shitty response to him admitting he has stolen your lunch multiple times. Anytime I work in the office, I just take my lunch in an insulated lunchbox with an ice pack and keep it at my desk. 'Cause people suck. Anyone who has special dietary requirements is playing with fire by stealing other people's food. It's basically begging for this exact brady of revenge. What on earth? Since when is regular chicken halal? This guy's is beyond stupid. Were you buying halal? Did he know you were buying halal food? The next time he glares at you, remind him what Islam says about theft. It's haram. So bacon on everything from now on. A almost whole office challenge. I'm Muslim, F that guy for stealing your food. If he claims to be pious, he wouldn't have stolen from you. LOL, this smells of bullshit, a make-believe story wrote by an Islamophobe. If he was such a devout Muslim, surely he would know that not all chicken is halal and it has to be bought from halal butcheries, and surely he did not know whether you, a random person in the office, buy from halal butchery. Pork tenderloin is white like chicken. Just sayin'. It's 2022 and adults are stealing lunches. What a weak ass HR you have. Stealing someone's property deserves more than a reprimand. And that guy is infuriating too, he's an entitled thief. LMAOWTF is this guy's logic? Eating pork, haram. Stealing other people's food, halal. Old joke, the temple rabbi had a second job where he observed whether food was prepared in a kosher manner. One day the rabbi was walking down the street and just happened to see the temple president indulging in an unkosher meal of pork and shrimp fried rice. Astonished, the rabbi waited for the president to come out to confront him. The president noted that since the rabbi watched the president, he was eating under rabbinical supervision, making the meal kosher. In all seriousness, anyone who is observant enough to care about dietary restrictions would not eat anything they weren't 100% sure adhered to their restrictions. My cousin is an observant Jew, and while I generally keep kosher, I am not strict. I take extra steps, such as wrapping kosher food in aluminum foil before cooking and using disposable utensils when hosting him for a meal. No biggie for me, as that is how I was brought up. Some of the older generation was more observant than my parents, whose rule was something like pork is unkosher unless in Chinese food. It's stupid for HR to ignore theft. If he steals your food, why wouldn't he steal from the employer? He's a Muslim and is very serious about it, yet steals food? Doesn't add up. Put bacon on all the things. Wow. He should have been fired. Has he stole your lunch again? If so, let him know you wipe your meat on bacon grease every morning, for flavor. He ain't a serious Muslim if he's stealing. Correct that statement. So he never learned his lesson. I thought he was very religious. Does the Quran condone stealing food? He admitted to stealing. And, as for, the man who steals and the woman who steals, cut off their hands as a punishment for what they have earned, an exemplary punishment from Allah, and Allah is mighty. Surah Al-Ma'idah 5:38. That guy is filth and an idiot too, LOL. Another person in the same situation brought in tortillas with cat food in them for the meat. You need a pig leather lunchbox. It's funny when the ones who are supposedly serious Muslim who claims to be all that jazz does shit like this. Brings a bad name to the religion for sure. He got what he deserved. Something about this story isn't kosher. I would leave an itemized receipt on his desk with the cost estimate of all your lunches he stole. Bluff, and tell him you plan to get your lawyer involved. Reparations for damages are owed.